Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
Pop Culture Edition.
Woo!
If you like our show and you were sad that we were a week behind on getting pop culture out, then you can subscribe, share it. And we have
Cool.
Pride merch you can shop.
Yes. Yeah, and you can turn on notifications on social media too if you want to know when we're not going to be doing an episode. Sorry. All right. Let's get to it. We got things to get through just so we can get to Love Island, which is why we're all really here. So, some tidbits. First is that Mr. Joe Giudice has taken to Instagram to ask Donald Trump to pardon him of his crimes and allow him back into the United States. Also, in a recent interview, Teresa went on some local New Jersey news, and they asked her about how do you not pay your taxes for that many years? And she said, "I'm hanging up," and just left the Zoom.
That's
Whoa. Funny. Yeah. With a little Giudice, there were rumors circulating that Gia Giudice had been fired by Bravo from her role on Next Gen New York City due to inappropriate behavior with castmates.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
I heard that it was because of the plagiarism thing.
Oh, no. I had heard that that they said she was being inappropriate in some way, but I don't know what that is. But both she and Andy Cohen have denied that she's been fired and have denied that anything happened. Guess we'll see. But she also addressed rumors that she was caught in a plagiarism scandal at Rutgers University, and she says they would not have let me graduate if that was true, and I did graduate, so it's not true. Basically.
There we go. Done. I'm loving Next Gen NYC, by the way. I think it's very light and fun, but it's also them navigating finding themselves and standing up for themselves. So there are some more serious moments. And I just think it's very different from anything else Bravo has done.
Mm-hmm.
They're so young. And it's just such an interesting group of people. There's 4 housewives kids. There's the first big name black trans model on there, the heir to the Zaxby's fortune, and then some randos.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of appearances by Seth Marks.
Nice. Yeah, I started watching the first episode, but I haven't watched past that. But it looks fun.
Yeah.
For sure. Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras were on America's Got Talent. All the judges voted yes. So they're continuing on America's Got Talent. Craig Conover shared a photo of the ring that he bought for Paige with time and location stamps to prove that he has had it for a while and that he had it in Charleston.
He said, "I don't have to prove that I bought this ring, but let me show you that I did."
He said, "I don't have to prove it, but also I've always thought it was weird that no one asked to see it." And I'm like, okay.
We don't believe you.
Yeah.
Ever.
No one asked because we just believe Paige.
Right.
Stupid. Bachelor in Paradise this year is going to feature a mixture of people from the typical Bachelor and Bachelorette cruise and folks from the Golden Bachelor. Some younger contestants have said, I don't know if contestants is the word I want. People, Islanders, Paradisers, have said that they will be looking to the Goldens for advice. But Jesse Palmer has sparked outrage with a comment.
I just think that's so weird.
That
like people are mad at him.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. So basically, Jesse Palmer made a comment that they are hoping for some age gap romances. Mm-hmm. I think that's where people are mad, is that it's like, it's one thing to just say, like, I mean, they can if they want, but like, we kind of assume that like most of them will go to the Goldens for advice. But then I also feel like that would be a bad thing to say, because then it's like insinuating that like old people are like nothing except wisdom. But right. Anyway, Rachel Kirkconnell and Jade Roper have both publicly replied to this. Rachel said it is a bit gross, basically, for the show to encourage 50-year age gaps.
Yeah. Their age gaps would not be that big.
Yeah, I was like, look, again, we love hyperbole, but like...
Yeah,
these are not like 18-year-olds.
Right. Most of the Bachelor contestants are in their late 20s, early 30s, especially like thinking about that it has been kind of a while since we've done Paradise or since we've had a season come out. So like they've aged. Mm-hmm. And then most of the Golden Bachelor contestants are in their early 60s. So it would be more like 30 to 40 year age gap, which like is still like big, but like they're not 50 years older than these people.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know, to your point, like, to be fair, like, if they're going on Paradise together, then, like, they cannot stop them if that is what they choose to do. Like, it's giving Ashley Darby on The Love Hotel. She said...
And that worked out so well for her.
I need a daddy. And that's fine. But, I mean, I do think it is weird for Jesse Palmer to come out and say, like, we are hoping to see it.
Yeah.
But, like, he could have just kept his mouth shut. But I do think, like, if you had such a problem with it, then, like, you would have had a problem when you found out they were casting them together.
Right.
Because, like, you know that is an option.
Right.
But, I mean, it's also just, like, it's not like they're... like, it'd be one thing if they said, here's what we're doing on Paradise this year. We're taking men from the Golden Bachelor, and we're taking women from the regular Bachelor. Young women. And... that's how we're going to do this. Yeah, that would be weird. But it's like, it's a free pond. You get to do what you want. Pick your fish. If you want a daddy fish, go for it.
I would also even say, I feel like the Golden Bachelor people would be more hesitant to enter an age gap relationship than the younger contestants, because of like how it would come across.
Sure.
I don't think that there will be really any age gap couples, but like, I mean, when, like, Kenny was almost 50.
Yeah, true.
When he went on there.
Yeah.
Come on now.
And maybe that'll encourage them.
Like 23.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe that'll encourage them to do more of a range and, like, pick some of their older ones that weren't golden, and just kind of, maybe a golden will end up with someone who's, like, in their 40s. But, yeah. Drama. Also, it's like, you have to think, it's not really like Love Island where like there's gonna be like these challenges and they're gonna be forced to like make out with and straddle.
They're doing challenges this year.
Oh, great. So it's like, that's where like it's kind of weird. Like, are we gonna be forcing these 20-something-year-olds to like straddle and like lingerie dance on? Are we gonna do a heart rate challenge for we're gonna kill the old people? Let's don't do that.
They posted, they've made a lot of changes since their time away. They posted like a list of changes today. And so like, you think you're ready, but get ready for these changes. They're going to Costa Rica this year. They are staying indoors this year. I mean, like, they still have outdoor access. Yeah. But, like, they're not making them sleep outside in huts.
Yeah.
They are doing something called compatibility challenges, is what they call them. And they added, they had, what's his name?
Wells.
Wells is, like, the bartender, and they added Hannah Brown as like also bartender. So and then they're adding the Goldens. So they've changed a few things, but yeah, they are doing challenges this year for the first time.
Compatibility challenges. We listen, we don't judge, and we watch Bachelor in Paradise.
A little behind on that trend, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm like, that's a little late. I'm trying to see in the previews if any of the young people are with the old people, and they're not.
Yeah, I don't think. Because, like, also, like, about, like, Love Island, Bachelor in Paradise is they go in knowing who they hope is there.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
2 generations, thirsty for love. I don't know that the Goldens are thirsty, but okay. All right. On to the pop girlies. Sabrina Carpenter received backlash for her original cover of her new Man's Best Friend album. Pause for thoughts on that, Mary?
I don't know.
Care?
I think, I think that people are reading too much into this and like trying to make a problem with Sabrina Carpenter that doesn't exist. I think it's like very simple that men treat women like dogs.
Yeah. And like people were like, if it's satire's supposed to be obvious, and it's like, okay,
satire's supposed to be funny.
Yeah. Here's my thing though. When I saw it, before any commentary, when I saw it, I thought, okay, it's like sexual. And then people are like, it's clearly like glorifying like domestic violence, like he's holding her hair, like it's abuse. And it's like, I think why are we like entering, like, if you want to say it's like anti-feminist, like whatever, I guess like I can like understand you, like whatever, but I'd say let's wait to hear the songs. But like we all like know that people have their hair pulled consensually. Yes? Like it seems like we've all just for the first time ever been introduced to the idea that people pull on hair during sex or sexual encounters, and that like the only way that he could be pulling her hair is in an act of domestic violence.
Yeah. I also think that like some people are now trying like too hard to defend it, and they're like, no, like it's like symbolic because like you can't see his face, and like if you zoomed out, like I bet if you zoomed out it would actually be her holding her own hair and like showing that like men aren't even in the picture. And then when she posted like the new cover, they were like, see, again, you could only see her face because that was the whole point. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. Like, I just think it's funny.
I think it's clear that she's like, I have a reputation of being sexual and falling for the wrong guy. And that's what Man-Child is like already showing us this album's going to be about, is like, yep, I'm with stupid men, and like I love them, and I love men, and that's so dumb of me. And it's like, it's so weird. Like, and I saw it, and not for a single second did I think like, ugh. And I am very easily offended. I just want to be very clear. I look at things and think, ugh, all the time. And I didn't think a single thing. And now I'm like, am I nuts?
Yeah. You know what they say, if you're hot, they're going to eat you alive.
It's true. But she released an alternate cover, like Mary was talking about, that she said, this time approved by God. She's like, y'all fucking prudes. She's so funny, though.
Yeah. Our girl does not give a fuck.
No.
I saw Hannah from Love Island has her phone back now, and the first thing she posted is a TikTok. Not the first thing, but one of the things she posted is a TikTok of her doing a dance, and the caption says, God forbid a woman be ovulating.
Yeah, true. True. And Taylor Swift was out this week. Right after I returned home from Nashville. her boyfriend's tight-end university began. They were out partying at Jason Aldean's bar. But and then one night at the Titans and Friends concert, she hopped on stage and performed Shake It Off. Very cute. Lots of, like, I don't even want to say like fan photos, because like it seems like they ended up becoming friends. Like her and all these girls, she's just like, so cute. So jealous. Not that I'll ever be in Jason Aldean's bar, so don't know that we would have bumped into each other. Anyway, but yeah, she's a sweetie girl, and she bought the New Orleans inflatable bracelet from the Eras tour.
Yeah,
people keep posting like pictures of it hanging on her Rhode Island house, and they're like, "This is what she's gonna do with it."
That's what she should do with it.
Yeah. All right, on to the Valley. So some updates in real time. Kristen and Luke have had their baby. Her name is Kaya Lily. Nia and Danny have also had their fourth child. I don't know its name.
I think I do. I mean,
I just know that they had one. Another one. Good for them.
I saw somebody had a baby. Oh, who was it? Somebody famous had a baby, and they posted it and they said like, "Welcome to the world, child."
That's it.
I'm like, they don't have a name,
or they don't want to tell us.
Name yet. Let's see, Adelaide. That's her name.
Oh, okay. On
the internet. It was a couple from Below Deck.
Oh. All right. So Adelaide and Kaya Lily. Jax has admitted to having a superiority complex over Brittany due to being way older than her. Following our conversation from a moment ago, I think we should note that their age difference is 9 years. 9. That's it. He also said that he still occasionally sleeps over at their former shared house. I think he says this to like spark controversy. But then he tells us like, I just sleep there for Cruz. I'm assuming in a different bedroom. Because like that's Cruz's house. We try not to uproot him. He's got his pool there. He's got all his stuff there, whatever. So I don't think it's a scandal. I mean, obviously, I wish Brittany would never be near him ever because of the thing that I'm about to say. Because we also do a true crime podcast, I think that it's worth mentioning this video that we've seen discussing how Jax Taylor shows all the signs of becoming a family annihilator. I don't really think that this is like shocking. Like we kind of like know that about Jax. But like when you really think about it and like understand the like textbook, like him watching her on the cameras, him like blaming everything on her, like it does seem really scary, especially if she's letting him come into her house. And I've always kind of gotten that vibe from Jax that like a family annihilator specifically would mean that he would take out Brittany, Cruz, and himself. And I do kind of see Jax being someone who like goes out in like a really like big way. Yeah. So I think we've already seen this, that people want Bravo to not hire Jax back to the Valley moving forward. But it has been mostly, not just because we hate Jax, but it's also been like mostly like people want Bravo to like really care about Brittany and Cruz's safety and to like put them first and like take it a little more seriously. That like y'all should have understood, like me and Mary said last time, like when he's watching Brittany on cameras and texting your producers that he's watching you, like you should have taken her away. You should have like that should have been taken more seriously. People also want them to not bring Janet back. I don't know that it's because they think she's going to kill her family. but she's annoying.
Yeah, I'm gonna like hop on this again later when we talk about Love Island, but I just think, yeah, we have got to stop putting women in unsafe positions for the sake of drama and like good TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think beyond that, I don't remember we talked about this, I'm sure we did, but like with Cruz specifically, like watching the difference between how he reacts to his father and like Zach is crazy. Like he's scared of him. And so like it's gone beyond like Brittany's safety, it's like Cruz's safety, it's like everyone's safety.
Yeah. It's true. And it's not to say that like if he's off the show, like Bravo can't force her to get a restraining order. Yeah. But like they could at least take their culpability out of it and like not have them be together for the sake of this job, you know? Back on the show, Brittany has filed for divorce. Her and Jax are still having to be around each other at social events, but she does not want to speak to him. Janet is literally on bad terms with everyone this season. It's giving me a headache. Like, it's like, why is she even here? Why is she here at Danny and Nia's trip for Kristen and Luke's engagement when she hates all four of those people?
Right.
Get her out of here. I do not know if I am just still misunderstanding the bad guy in this situation. But Michelle talked about how Jesse will not let Isabella spend time with her dying grandmother. When Nia asked Jesse about this, he said there's two sides to every story. And then he got emotional and said that, of course, he wants Isabella to spend time with her grandmother, but that they need to find a way to talk to her about death and mortality first. Mm-hmm. And I think that makes sense. And like it makes Jesse like seem like a good guy. Mm-hmm. Who's just like, see, Nia, like you didn't get both sides of the story. She didn't tell you that like we're trying to figure out how to talk to our daughter about death. But like to me, like it just read as so manipulative that it's like, yeah. I highly fucking doubt that's what he said to Michelle was like, right. Yes, I would love for her to spend time with your with your dying mother. I really think we need to find a way to talk about death with her.
Yeah. He said something else weird in this conversation, and I may like be misremembering it, but I want to say he said something like that he didn't know Michelle's mom was dying when he said Isabella couldn't go see her.
I feel like there was some sort of like downplaying where he was just like, oh, I guess I didn't know it was that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember whatever he said, I remember thinking like, so like this, like you wanted to be cruel.
Yeah.
But you just didn't want to be that cruel. Or like now you're being called out for being cruel and suddenly you're like, no, that's not what I meant. But like, I think in any capacity, saying that she can't take her child to go visit her mother before she passes away is cruel.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he's just trying to say like, like, because if you didn't know she was dying, then the death and mortality conversation isn't even the problem.
Right.
You just didn't even want her to see her sick grandmother. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Jesse brought the guys over for some men's group therapy where Jax cries and gets praised for all of the hard work he's putting in. Jesse gets to pretend that he's a sweet and nice guy in front of his life coach, Scott. And Danny starts to admit that he does hide his drinking, which I thought was major. Like, I'm not a Danny fan, but, like, that's pretty, like, I was, like, waiting when Scott said, like, so you go to the bar and you order multiple drinks, drink them quickly, and then come back with one, hoping everyone thinks you only drank one. I thought Danny was for sure going to be like, no, I don't do that. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, good for Danny. The rest of it reminded Sammy and I of the final episode of Grotesquerie. I don't think you watched Grotesquerie, but the end is very disappointing. It ends with Travis Kelce's father-in-law taking him to a Meninist forum to bitch about his own daughter with Travis Kelce and about how women suck and men have no rights. And
yeah, he's like, we're all squirrely. Men are all a little squirrely.
I actually think it's the other way around. I think Travis Kelce takes his father-in-law there.
Oh.
But yeah, they just like sit in a circle and they just bitch about women and how like they need to rise up against women. And I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. Of course Jesse brought this into the group.
Yeah. Well, basically you led us right into Love Island because that's Ace, Nick, and Taylor. Maybe you disagree. I will say,
no, don't talk shit on Nick.
Fine. Ever. But I will say, I think if you look at every single thing Ace does through the lens of like, he is always trying to bring women down a peg. He is always trying to ensure that like women don't get too much. I think everything makes sense.
Yeah. I love me some Mommy's Little Meatball.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick or Ace and Taylor, like, I'm over.
Yeah, for sure. I need Nick to break up with them.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's get into it. The reason we're all here, it's been a crazy little while on Love Island, which, of course, you know, happens when you're watching it 6 days a week. Things move along. So, Huda and Jeremiah officially call it quits after a long back and forth. First, America voted him into another couple. She thought that this was his fault. They did this for her sake because he obviously is just not that into her, she says. You're just not as into me as I am. True, sure. But then he voluntarily chooses to stay in that couple. So
yeah. Her reaction was like infuriating. And I hated that Alandria put it into her head that like America must have seen something between him and Iris that he was keeping from her, because she jumped on that train and rode it as far as she could. She kicked Jeremiah off of it. Like, just like, as soon as Alandria said that, it like clicked something in Huda's brain, and she was like, basically like, he cheated on me.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously I get they're just trying to be like, well, you don't know, maybe there's something you just don't know. But like, yeah, I wish someone had said to her like, I think it's because y'all are really toxic together.
Yeah.
And they don't want you together.
Yeah.
Later, though, Iris and Jeremiah decide that they are better off as friends. Jeremiah becomes interested in Andrina. Iris becomes interested in TJ. Why? I don't know. People thought maybe Huda was headed for a redemption arc. Some people on the internet are like, yeah, why wouldn't she have been all about Jeremiah? Like, he was literally all about her from day one. You see, he only takes a kiss on the cheek at literally their first coupling. So it's like, why wouldn't she think that they're like that serious? Obviously, though, like, eventually she needed to catch on. Like, when he said, no, I do not want to move in together. And she went and told the girls he wants to move in with me. Like,
yeah. She said, can I have your location? He said, I don't like that.
No.
Yeah, I disagree with like the narrative that he was love bombing her. I don't think
he wasn't into you, Lisa.
And I think that on top of that, like, he, like, with the fact that she was like asking him to like do things for her, like, I think is like further evidence that she didn't feel love bombed.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing that. But I think he was truly all in on her until it got to be a little overwhelming with like the mom and dad arc that she was talking about, that the girls were talking about. I think it like freaked him out, and like he was like, wait, this is kind of a lot.
Yeah. And I think he wanted to keep pursuing it just in a more casual way, and she just decided that for him. It wasn't going to happen. America was then asked to vote on individual favorites, which is always going to end up splitting up couples. somehow America, after all of this talk about how they're going to get Huda out, voted to keep Huda, although some people think that this was rigged by producers.
I saw a lot of people like who voted for Jeremiah to be coupled with Iris. I saw a lot of those same people saying that they were going to vote for Huda because they wanted to watch everything happen.
Sure. Then the Islanders had to vote out one boy and one girl. The girls voted out Hannah and the boys voted out Jeremiah. This was shocking and devastating. It was like the Andrea elimination from last season, except that both decisions were shocking. Like, I think I was struggling like with the options. Like, none of them seemed like super obvious options. Like, when it was Hakeem, obviously you vote out Hakeem, right? Like, whatever. But I didn't feel like there was like a super clear choice in this situation.
I thought they would vote out Amaya and Austin.
Yeah, I think that's what most people thought. I think, though, that the girls didn't know that Amaya and Austin weren't doing well. The boys did.
Right.
But, like, the girls didn't, so they may have been like, they should stay together.
I don't think Amaya knew that they weren't doing well.
Sure, yeah. People were already, like, hoping that Charlie would be brought back for Casa. But now with Hannah gone, like, what would be the point? The point was that they would reunite them. Now people just wanted Jeremiah to come back.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck?
When Charlie initially went home, Hannah's sister made a TikTok saying, like, she was like, I am so sad, like, watching my sister cry on TV. But, like, she's like, but I think once Hannah gets home and realizes Charlie was MAGA, she wouldn't want to be with him anyway. And my initial thought was, like, why are British people MAGA? Like, why do you care? What's going? Go away. But since then, it's come out that the Instagram account people were originally linking Charlie to that followed all these MAGA accounts was not his.
Oh, great.
So I don't know like where that lies, but I was like using that as like, okay, yeah, good, because I like Hannah and Pepe. Good for them. She's done with Charlie, but now that she's gone and Pepe is still in there, I wonder if like her and Charlie will connect.
Yeah. I didn't put this in there, but before we leave Hannah, I guess we should talk about it.
No.
So I'll just say that there has been leaks or insiders have shared that this season they are begging these contestants to stop fucking and stop being so intimate and stop having so much sex.
Like, the one that said like they're fucking on the day beds, they're fucking everywhere. I'm like, that's crazy.
The way they're talking about like that producers are basically having to like chase them down and be like, stop, like we can't film you, or like, so it's like, it is weird to me because like on the one hand, when you think of Hannah and her spit start, they could have just not aired it. Right? So it's like, if you're that mad about them doing inappropriate things on this dating show, then like just don't air it.
Right.
But
I guess maybe it's different when it's like in their bed at night, because like they also showed
Scandaloso
that last year, you know.
Yeah. But it sounds like they are literally, and I don't know if you know this, but they have one day a week where they don't film at all.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they mean like on those days they're just saying like please stop, or if like they mean like we're trying to get an interview with Shelly and her and Ace are in the back fucking and we have to beg them to stop. So, like I'm having trouble picturing this, because then it seems like people talk about sex, but they talk about sex when they've done it in front of cameras. So it's like, does that mean they're doing it outside of cameras because they know it's not in the camera? Like it's hard for me to picture like what's going on.
I've heard one couple like admit they've had sex
right
at this point.
Yeah.
For 25 seconds.
Yes, yeah. And like I think we all think Huda and Jeremiah did, and like Pepe and Hannah did something. But like in the day beds, what are you talking about?
Right.
That's
They're
but
fucking in soul ties?
People have said that this is kind of what the like first couple seasons of Love Island UK were like. And so
no, there was somebody who had sex like on top of one of the beds while everyone was like going to sleep, like not actively sleeping.
Yeah.
I also think, what do I think? Oh, I also heard, so someone who was on Love Island has been like talking about like how it goes, and she was saying that there's like a certain period of the day where the boys and the girls are separated, like every day. And so I'm like, when are they fucking?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like part of me is like, what the fuck do you think this show is?
Right.
You put a bunch of co-eds together with a bunch of beds and no clothing.
Right.
And like, what? I don't understand. But I think like you think about Bachelor in Paradise and you think about Love Island doing like the Hideaway and stuff, and like these shows and like Fantasy Suites and like all these things. These shows like want sex to be very like time, like we pick the time and place.
Right.
And it's like Love Island kind of hasn't really been that way, at least consistently. Like people be fucking in the beds. They be fucking in the shower. They go out and sleep in soul ties and they be fucking. And it's like, so I don't know. I think it's weird that they care, but then I'm like, but what does that mean? How much more fucking is it if they're having to release statements and say like, we're begging this?
Right.
Like it has to be so much.
I can't like that's what I can't wrap my head around is that they're fucking that much.
Yeah. Back to the Jeremiah elimination. Unfortunately, as soon as I saw him doing podcasts, I was like, oh, okay, he's not coming back. He was asked if him and Huda would ever work out in the real world. He said, after watching it back, absolutely not. He also seems to understand that the boys just like didn't like him and like had it out for him, and that's why they sent him home. And like it was so mean, and like everyone's like they're so jealous, and like I don't know what they're like jealous of, necessarily, but like I do think Ace is the leader, and Ace doesn't like him or is jealous of him or is threatened by him or whatever. And then they do whatever Ace says.
Yeah. It's just crazy because he's so tiny.
Yeah.
How does he hold so much power?
I know.
In that little body.
It's a widow. Hannah also did some podcasts where she expressed that she is really, really hurt by the girls voting her out. She said that they never really gave her a reason, but also that she wasn't really trying to talk to them. So she wonders if Huda played a bigger part than we saw or than she thought because she wanted to separate her from Pepe, which would really be awful. But she did talk more about the Pepe situation, and she said that she had told Huda that she wanted to go open up to him about some past trauma, and Huda said, oh my gosh, well, like, practice on me. Tell me all the things you want to tell him. And so she did tell Huda all about her past trauma, and then that same day, Huda went and pulled Pepe without mentioning it to her.
Yeah. On, I think, the same podcast, she just like admitted what the trauma was, which I think like shows growth. Yeah, she like went from not being sure if she could share it with the people she was close to in the villa to like being able to share it more publicly. But I also think that it sounds like maybe she wonders if Huda might have said something about it to Pepe too, and like I don't know. I think she just felt icky about the whole thing. But her interviews is also where I learned they're not allowed to talk about politics in the villa. like at all, apparently. And I was telling my best friend, like, if I received like set of rules
Contract
for a show that said you cannot talk about politics with people that I'm potentially like wanting to start
Mary?
a relationship with,
Yeah.
I would not go. But the reason I found this interesting in like Hannah's interviews is because even after leaving the villa, she was like beating around the bush, like trying to explain why she didn't like Austin and TJ. But like she basically said like she could clock that they're not people she shares beliefs with, and like that's why she wasn't interested in them, and that's why she leaned more toward people she thought she did share some foundational beliefs with. But I just think that that's
what did she say about not being able to talk about
she
politics?
just said she didn't say like I'm not allowed to talk about politics. Like people are like circulating that video and saying like they're not allowed to talk about politics in the villa.
Sure.
But what she said was, they said, "Did you ever consider exploring a relationship with Austin or TJ?" And she said no. And they said, "Why?" And she said, "There are certain things that I believe that I do not waver on, and I don't think they agree with those beliefs."
Okay. Sure. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's like, sure, like maybe they don't want them to literally talk about like who they voted for.
Right.
But like,
also, like, you don't have to air everything.
Yeah, and
if
it's
they
like,
want to talk about it with someone they're trying to start a relationship with, but you don't want it on the television, don't air that part.
Yeah, but it's also just like, I would think that there are still like questions or like things that would like just come up,
right?
That are like, how do you feel about how Huda's acting? Oh, she's just like one of those crazy bitches. Okay, well now I know like how you feel about women. Like it's got it, like to Hannah's point, like you do just like clock it.
Right.
But yeah, it would feel weird if I'm having to like, oh,
right.
Oh, the guy I like just said this. Maybe that means whatever. And I can't just go to him and say, like, how often do you listen to Joe Rogan?
Right. I also think, like, especially for, like, a lot of the people that are in this villa, like, we have people of so many different races, and, like, someone like Jaden, who is diabetic, like, these, like, politics that are happening right now are, like, actually like directly affecting these people who are in the villa. And like looking at like Huda's Instagram, she talks a lot about how she feels about Palestine. And so like I think it's unfortunate that for some, and I don't think Jaden actually cares about politics, because she went in there already knowing Austin was a MAGA. But I think that for some people, those things are really like important and like fundamental to who they are, and like to who their loved ones are, that these people are going to have to meet and interact with outside of the villa. That like it's unfortunate that like if Jaden is falling in love with Austin and she says like, I think insulin should be free, or I think at the very least I think insulin should cost the amount it is to make it, which is $3, that she can't like say that to him.
Yeah. And it is like, I mean, we'll kind of get into this. That like I don't think Shelly ever really liked Austin, but it's like you have to think like Shelly is the only person there who like admittedly is like has a fluid sexuality and is like clearly a Black woman. And is like with Austin, and it's like, I guess you have to wonder. I mean, he did know that she had sex with women, like that came up in a challenge, but it's like you have to wonder like what they consider political conversations, because it's like, are they allowed to talk about the fact like, and we've seen in seasons before where people will say, maybe we haven't, but I think we have seen people being like, have you ever dated a Black woman? And it's like, so there are just conversations that like are pseudo political that I imagine like have to come up, but then maybe Love Island just doesn't air those.
Yeah.
And they just say, like, just don't talk about who you vote for.
Yeah. I know on the Love Hotel, Giselle asked the guy she ended up picking if he had ever dated a black woman, and he said no. I remember last season on Love Island, I think somebody asked somebody else what their race was. And they said, I'm black. And they said, oh, cool, me too.
Oh, Kendall. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And then the whole rest of the season, every time they would talk about black people, they left him out. Janae's like, it has to be me, Cordell, and Serena making the chicken. And Kendall's just over there. Not that I'm a Kendall fan, but poor buddy.
I know.
He's black.
But yeah, I will say, I do think, I know she hasn't said it on the show, but I do think that, like, Sierra in real life is, like, open about having a fluid sexuality, because whoever's running her Instagram account is very, very
interested in her and Shelly.
Wanting her and Shelly to get together.
Yeah. And I mean, I think she kind of, I felt like that was pretty clear when she, like, picked Shelly for that and was like, I just want to make out with Shelly. Yeah. All right. So we go into Casa, which felt very early for this season. I don't think it was actually all that early, but usually you have more established couples by this point. And, like, there's more of, like, a risk that, like, people could mess it up. And, like, this time I think we were all just like, oh yay, they need to date new people. They did Casa very differently this year. Lots of twists and turns. But I also kind of understand why it was needed, because of there being, like, no established couples. You weren't going to get, like, the same amount of shock as you did from Aaron and Cordell last year. So the girls go to Casa this year, which I think they want us to think is, like, a huge deal.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I thought they just switched off every year, to be honest.
And every year it's the boys, but, like, what does it matter? They're doing the same thing. This is where we meet tall boys, Chris and JD, Zach and Zach, known in this case as Zach K and Zach C. What they mean is Zach with a K and Zach with a C.
When they,
because I'm assuming that's not their last names.
Right. When they came in, one of them asked the other, they said, like, my name's Zach, one of them said, like, oh, with a C or a K, and I was like,
you mean with an H or a K?
The most common spelling of Zach is Z-A-C-H. What do you mean with a C or a K?
I know, I thought that too. I was like, they meant with an H or a K, because, like, some people do it Z-A-C-K or Z-A-C-H, but then I was like, oh no, of course these dudes on here just have 3-letter names.
We went to school with these boys whose names were Zach and Nick, and spelled like Z-A-C and N-I-C, and it was, like, also their initials, which I think is cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We have Brian, and then we have Elan. Elan has started a lot of conversations online. Elan is a Jewish Canadian, and online rumors are that he is a former Israeli or IDF soldier who is a Zionist. I don't know. I assume if you're listening, you know what a Zionist is, but essentially the belief is that Israel is owed all of this land, including the land where currently Palestinians reside and live and have lived for a long time. People say, fans are saying, that production has put Huda, a Middle Eastern American woman of Palestinian descent, in danger by having this person on the show, or at the very least should have told her that he was here and his history and background and things, because when she
had to kiss him,
like, she chose to kiss him in this challenge, and the issue with Love Island kind of writ large at this point, and I think it makes for such good TV. I love this factor of Love Island that they let people watch before they come on. But also, Huda doesn't know anything about them, but they all already know about her. So already people know she's a mom. Oh. already people know she's a mom. Already people know and have like looked up, or like you said, like Jaden has to know about Austin, right? Like she's got her phone this whole time before. So it's just like, that's concerning that like she doesn't get to know anything about him, but he knows all about her. I must say I've looked and there is not any like actual proof that he was an IDF soldier. I don't know where people got that from. Obviously, in and of itself, it is not like dangerous to have a Jewish person near a Palestinian person. Like, that is not innately a problem. But if true that he is a part of literally Israeli forces committing a genocide against Palestinians, then like, yeah, big major deal.
Right. Yeah. So several people like made TikTok saying that he had been an IDF soldier, and then afterwards more people started making them and saying like, there is no proof that he was an IDF soldier, so we're not going to say that. But I went to his Instagram, and when you click on like follows, the very first page that comes up is a Zionist group that he does seem to be a member of. He actively follows them and they follow him back. On top of that, whoever's running his Instagram account, they can't control the comments, but the comments are almost entirely about that he is right to be a Zionist. There was one I saw that said like anti-Zionism is the same as anti-Semitism. There's a lot of just like Jewish flags or Israeli flags, which again, like, there's nothing wrong with being Jewish.
Yeah.
But like, so I'm not going to say that they're wrong to comment the flags, but there's a lot of comments like, a lot of people are just saying like, glad to have some Jewish representation. That's great.
Sure.
But then some of them are also like, no, he's right. Like, Israel is owed this and blah, blah, blah. And whoever's running his Instagram account, while not responding to them, is also not asking anyone to stop or deleting them.
Yeah.
And I do agree that this is like an unsafe situation for Huda because he's had the chance to become familiar with the Islanders before going in, and she knows nothing about him. So he comes in and she thinks it's Jack Harlow. She gets really confused. She wants to kiss Jack Harlow because he's famous, and then it's not Jack Harlow, and it's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we've said it, and I don't know. I want to be just like very, very clear that like, yeah, like it's great. He's Jewish Canadian. Like, that's representation. Like,
yeah,
like that is awesome. The problem is the same problem as like Austin and like whatever, is that like we have access to your Instagram and we can see what you're into. And like, we kind of said this before that like, sure, you're allowed to be cast on a reality show no matter what your beliefs are.
It's not Liberal Island.
Yeah. But like, yeah, it is a little concerning, especially now if we're thinking they're not allowed to talk about politics. It is a little concerning that like Austin could have ended up all the way at the end with a bisexual black woman, and that would have been a problem.
Right.
Or Elan could have ended up all the way till the end with a bisexual woman of color in Sierra.
Right.
I mean, he probably wouldn't have ended up with Huda, right? Like, if he believes what we think he believes. But yeah, it's just, I think the issue with this show isn't necessarily the casting, it is like the lack of consent in that.
Right.
And if you said, well, they're allowed to talk about it and they need to just suss that out for themselves, then I'd say, fine, sure, she can ask. But apparently they can't.
Right. So especially like, if Huda speaks to open Elan about being Jewish, it would be perfectly reasonable to be like, well, I'm Palestinian. Like, how do you feel?
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I am sure that Huda and him will have conversations where he's like, I'm a Jew and I'm a proud Jew. And she's like, cool, I'm a proud Palestinian. And And that's fine. But like, if she's thinking like, okay, well, we're good though, like he's a supportive Jew, then like, great. But like, I just, yeah, it's concerning.
We were watching 30 Rock last night, and they started calling Tina Fey's character the Juru instead of the Guru.
Oh.
And I was like, this is absurd.
No.
That's what I thought of when you said that. I just think
anti-Semitism is not allowed here, but neither is Zionism.
I think that like there's such like extensive tragic history of anti-Semitism and the effects it has had on Jewish people in so many places. That does not negate that those same things should not be happening to Palestinian people.
Yeah.
And
it would be nice,
right,
to be able to have those conversations. Right. I think for a long time, I compare Love Island to Big Brother. Over any other dating show, I compare Love Island to Big Brother. But Big Brother, you're allowed to talk.
Right.
And like, you talk about your life, and every year we're like, oh, we're so grateful we got to hear that conversation.
Right.
And like, I don't love that like that's being taken from us, that like to know that they're literally not.
Who said that could be wrong, but
I mean it does seem that way.
I was like, they don't talk about
they
it.
don't ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think that like going back to like Austin also, I think that I found like it interesting when Alandria came back. He's like, "Oh my God, I missed you so much. Like, I love you." And she's like, "I love you too." And I was like, I just find it so interesting because like the things that people found on like Austin's TikTok that like confirmed his political beliefs were like extremely racist things. And so like it's interesting to me that he is like so close with all of these women, these Black women, like him and Shelly, even though they didn't end up together romantically, like they're friends. And then he's like, I love Alandria, I love Sierra, and like he is like reposting these like atrociously racist things.
And you have to think like if Hannah clocked that, they probably have too, and they're probably like, well, that's why I'm not romantically with this person. Right. But like, wouldn't you also be like, I don't really want to be friends either?
Right. But it's like Big Brother, you have to like play the game so that when the power goes into his hands, he doesn't vote you out and whatever. And like, and you can't like apparently like vocalize those concerns.
Sure. And I think like so much of this show has become like being nice to each other. Because like you don't want America to be like, she's being a mean girl. Right. Like all the girls have to be like, we love each other. And you're like, if you didn't, that's fine.
Yeah, but I just don't understand him, I think, because like I don't understand how you like believe all of these racist things enough to like and repost them online, but then like you have this conversation with this Dominican woman who says like, I'm like a first generation, like my whole family is immigrants, like she has like a very thick accent, like it's like she speaks 2 languages, and you're like, I want to date her. Yeah. I like her. Yeah. But it's true. But like I also think that people that look like her should be deported. Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't make sense to me.
No. So back in the villa, we meet the new girls. We have Coco, Clark, Vanna, Jaden, and Grayson. Ace and Pepe just went for their original person's lookalikes. At least as much as they could. People on the
right away.
No, but they didn't pick at first.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm only counting who they like end up with. I was like, I can't do all that. People on the internet have been very, very mean about Vanna. I feel very, very bad for her for when she gets her phone back. Speaking of, Love Island has had to make multiple announcements this season and pleas for people to stop the online bullying. They've done this on the show. They did like a little thing on the show. They've posted it on Instagram. Ariana talked on After Sun, and she said, if you're feeling embarrassed, don't worry. You still have time to delete your comments and avoid them actually seeing it when they come back and get their phones. Sounds like that's not going to happen because now new people are coming in and they're just being meaner.
Love Island has lost all control. They can't get the islanders to stop fucking. They can't get people outside the island to be nice. Like, yeah. Do I personally think that Vanna looked better before she got the fillers?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see a funny thing that was like, Heather Gay, is this your work?
Yeah. But do I also think that the Jigsaw comparisons are going too far? For sure. Like, yeah. I think that those are inside thoughts. Mm-hmm. As I say out loud that I think she looked better before, but like I just think those are inside thoughts. And like, people are like, she was so beautiful. Why did she ruin her face? Like, it's not for you.
Yeah,
she doesn't think it's ruined.
Yeah, it's also like there are lots of factors. Like her makeup could have been like there was a lot of makeup on. Yeah. And like, but it's also 100 fucking degrees outside. Right. Also, and she's like
21.
She's sweating. Yeah,
she's 21. She's doing all the trends.
Yeah, and it's just like I think if your like personal ish is like not a bunch of filler and long hair extensions and super tan, then don't like date a girl from Salt Lake City. You know? But I think like it's just it's so mean. Like and again, like y'all have to understand, like she is going to come out in real time and see all of that. And like how sad. Yeah. So Brian and Andrina very much hit it off. Brian knew exactly who he wanted. He said, "No funny business here. That's my girl."
I love them.
I know. Chris and Shelly hilariously get together while Shelly was originally with a short king, although King, I'm not so sure in this case. She was with a short guy. Also, this is where I have to ask, do you believe that Shelly and Ace were already a couple and they came on this show together just to win the money?
I don't know. I mean, like they said in the first episode that they know each other.
Sure, but they said like we have met each other once.
Yeah. Also though, like I am so interested in how they cast this show because like they said they know each other, then Amaya and Shelly said they knew each other, and then people have found that
a bunch of people are like liking other people's things. Yeah,
Ace was already following Huda, and Pepe was already following one of the girls. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I do think like when they got recoupled last night, and then the way they were like sitting together and just like kissing, like just little pecks, I was like, that's like I feel like really dating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Behavior. I feel like all of their actions fall exactly in line with what I think people would do if they were in a relationship trying to pretend they're not. Like, I think she was with Austin and like kept saying like, oh, I'm so torn. And we all were like, no, you're not. Right. And then he couples up with Amaya to like add some spice to the show, but he clearly did not like her at all.
He did Amaya.
And then they go to Casa and she couples up with someone that's like going to be an interesting person. He couples up with someone. He like tries to be like, oh yeah, I am into Coco. What am I going to do? But and we all knew what he was going to do. Yeah. And it's like, it seems like they're trying to be like, look, we are exploring, but we find our way back to each other. And like, just so that they will win. Yeah. And like, I'm just starting to get more and more sus of it. I don't typically believe those things, like just because, unless you got pictures, like just because someone said they were a couple, like whatever. But I'm just kind of like,
they're married. Whoever said that.
Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it is true that like they weren't kissing anyone outside of challenges. Like, I just am kind of like, I would believe it. Yeah. And it makes everything else like interesting. Like, that could be also, like, Ace wants to get people out that he thinks could win, or, like,
right.
you know, like, it's just about that.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, JD and Huda get together. That fizzles when he tells her that she is too dominant and he does not like to be dominated. He said, "You were doing too much." And she said, "Okay, goodbye." And that is when I realized she is really not going to have a redemption arc, is she?
Yeah, honestly though, like that would have pissed me off too.
It was
And
really
so,
weird. Like, it was like, you're
yeah,
just going to say that to her like that with a smile on your face and you think
right.
it's going to
And then like
go
double
well?
down.
Yeah.
She was like, and he's like, yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't really care like if Huda has a redemption arc because I just think she's becoming like more relatable and more personable to me. Like, I think not everything she does, but like that specifically, I was like, okay, yeah, I would have lost my mind also.
Nah, I'm out. Like, I'm like, you did the Pepe thing, then you went to Chris, and like, sure, Shelly ended up not caring, but like, when she went to Chris, like, she didn't know that Shelly didn't care. I think she is proving that like it's certainly not Jeremiah doing the love bombing. Like, that's just her. She flies off the handle pretty quick. Like,
Right.
he says, and like, yeah, it was awkward, and like, I think that is your way of saying like, oh yeah, like, well, that's me, and if you don't like it, like, we shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
But like, the fact that she just got up and left the conversation, like, I was like, oh, okay. Like,
No, I
that's
would have
just
done
kind of
that
how
too.
she operates. Sure. All right, Sierra and Elan were together, and she felt like they were having deeper and more intellectual conversations than she had with Nick. She could really feel all those Nick man-child edits, huh? Stupid.
Baby Walton Goggins.
Yes. I'm not really interested in Zach and Iris. Zach C and Iris, I must say.
I'd rather her be with him than TJ.
Sure, I didn't even like remember Zach C, so I just don't care. Zach K decided to go with Amaya Papaya instead of Olandria, leaving her to get kicked out of Casa.
Yeah. I like Zach, like in general. He's friends with Miguel, and I feel like they do seem very similar, and I think Miguel is hilarious. But I don't think he's super into our Amaya Papaya, and I fear that he will just want the next woman that comes in and will leave our angel in the dust.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Amaya Papaya Nation rise.
In the villa, Coco ends up with Ace, and I think he wants us to think that he's kind of interested, but to still root for him and Shelly. Back to what I said, like, that just seems kind of fake to me. Taylor and Clark get together and they kiss outside of a challenge very early on. I think you realize that, so Taylor is Cordell in this situation. I think you realize like he wasn't actually a slow burner. Like, he simply like does not understand how fine Alandria is. Like, and I remember this like early on, like when Taylor was telling Ace, like, I just don't know, like, you know, you need to have the physical attraction, and Ace is like, that woman? You're struggling to have a physical attraction with that woman? And like Nick is like telling him all the time, like, that is a fine woman. And he's like, But it's like, I told Billy, Taylor is literally acting like this lady came straight out the convent. She's homely, and he's got to settle for her and go at her pace. And he just, I barely even want to touch the girl. Instead of this fine ass woman who the other guys are all horned up over. Yeah. Did you see her when Megan Thee Stallion was there? And you're also telling me you don't want to make out with her? That's crazy.
But then like as soon as Jalen came in, he was like,
Jaden.
No, Jaden. No, Jalen's the man.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as Jalen came in and coupled up with Alandria, he was like, no, that's my woman. That's my woman. And like, I just don't. Yeah, I wonder if he's like maybe like more attracted to light-skinned women than dark-skinned women, if that could be a part of it. Like maybe that's more his type. And he's just not saying that. I also though, what I truly think is that he is like butthurt that she doesn't want to be all up on him.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, which is exactly like, I don't know how they're not catching on. This is the trend for Casa every year, is that Casa girls have to come in fast and they have to come in hot because that's their job.
Right.
And Cordell was like, well, it's just moving so much faster than it was with Serena, and this girl is all about me. And like that's what Taylor kind of was like, it's just someone that's like, she's so about me. And it's like, Olandria is so about you too. She just like didn't want to fuck. But like I think that like, yes, like these men are very just like, they make decisions from their dicks, and like the woman who's giving them the most like sexual attention is like where they're gonna go. But yeah, I also do kind of feel like I actually think he's not physically attracted to Olandria. I think that's absurd.
Right.
And I can't wrap my head around it, but I do actually think that's what is going on.
Yeah.
And like that's weird. And God, I need her to move on. So Vanna ends up with TJ. He is not about it. Pepe locks in with Hannah's lookalike Grayson. I think they're cute together. Yeah. I like her little red nose. I think it's cute.
Yeah, I'm just sad that he's not with Hannah.
Yeah. I think they have more chemistry for sure. Jaden is trying to decide between Austin and Nick, and she chooses Austin. Do you believe that Nick and Olandria being the ones that were kicked out was production, or do you think that that was really just how it happened?
I don't necessarily think it was production, like the reason they got kicked out. I did see someone say that they wouldn't have let anyone else like couple up and return, except for like Nick and Olandria, and I think maybe that's true. But I don't know. I don't know how they would have planned that so perfectly.
Yeah. I don't. So I feel like they were gonna come back anyway because Ariana did say like, we're going to Casa, everyone's coming back. So I do think like they were gonna offer that to that whoever got evicted. I just think, I guess people literally think that production was like, Zach, go get close with Amaya and then choose her, and then Jaden, go get close with Austin and then choose him. And it's like, I just don't know that I believe that.
Yeah, I don't.
But
they're too busy begging them not to fuck.
Yeah, for real. So Olandria and Nick get sent basically on a date. They get to decide if they want to come back into the villa as a couple or leave single. They obviously go back as a couple. Olandria seems to be viewing this as just a way back into the villa with Taylor. Nick is like, hold the phone. I have been wanting to get to know this fine ass woman. Let me take advantage of this. They come back in the middle of the night while Taylor is over there getting real cozy with Clark. When they wake up, the Islanders find out that they're back, and Taylor and Clark are happy, but only about Nick. Neither of them seem happy. Islanders. Yeah, neither of them seem happy that Olandria is back.
And then Clark walks away and says, "Good morning, Islanders."
Yeah, don't be rude. So we finally get what the internet has been wanting. Nicolandria. But the whole time, our girl will not stop watching that crusty man, Taylor, and saying, I'm going to get my man back. No, mama, I need you to move on.
Yeah. Watching her do those photo booth pictures, like, broke my heart. And I was like, she should have picked Jalen. Like, I wish when, like, Jalen was there and, like, all in on her, I wish that Taylor would have had this same energy that he has with Clark. But he wouldn't, because he didn't want to leave so that he could get to Casa and find someone like Clark. So he was just playing with Olandria to get her to want to keep him. And like, but like he just didn't want her.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think that's sad that like she believed like he wanted her, and she chose him over Jalen, and then he was just waiting for something better to come along.
Yep. Unfortunately, we only get Nicolandria for one episode before they decide. Before they decide that they want to keep moving in their current couples. Do you think that Nick actually wanted to end it? Or do you think he was just reading her and was like, oh, she's not into this?
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to end it.
Yeah.
But I do think he would have picked Sierra at the recoupling either way. I also wonder if anything would have changed for her if he had told her that he had kissed her in that initial blindfold challenge. Like if something would have clicked, like for that, like how long he's been interested in her.
He probably felt like it was like forced and like random. Like she's like, Nick, you are not into me.
Right.
And he's trying to be like, no, I've been into you, girl.
But I do think that he would have wanted to be with Sierra either way.
I think he would have picked Sierra, but I do think there's a world where he would have been like, but I still want to get to know Nicolandria. Yeah. I am glad for him and Sierra to be back together. It was very cute. They are like locked in at this point, or God, I hope. Did anyone else feel like it went on way too long and was just cruel to make all the Islanders pretend that Nick was still gone, knowing that he was not, that he was with them all week while Sierra bawled her eyes out?
Right. Yes, but I also think it like really solidified for her that she wanted Nick over Elan.
I think it would have solidified it after 30 seconds.
Right.
They didn't have to make her cry and Amaya scream for 10 minutes. Jesus Christ. And Ariana the whole time is just trying to talk over Amaya. She's just like, all right, guys. I'm like,
Amaya yelling at Taylor.
Taylor. As if he can like change his mind. Like she's like, no.
Get your shit together.
They bring the Casa people back. There's a giant confusing recoupling, and we end with the following couples.
Way too many couples.
Yes. Ace and Shelly, Austin and Jaden, Chris and Huda, Iris and TJ, Amaya and Zach K, Nick and Sierra, Pepe and Grayson, Brian and Andrina, and 2 single Islanders got to stay, Olandria and Elan. I need Olandria to move on now. Like, that's gotta happen.
Hopefully, now that Zach C is gone, they can just call this man Zach.
Yeah, please.
I was so mad that they wanted Elan to stay, but I honestly, like, don't know who would have been a better choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understood, like, they were like, well, he's the only one who's, like, really been open in this experience so far, and, like, and it was only the Casa guys that were up. I think it was an easy pick for the women because one of them's been there the whole time. But yeah, I don't know who they would have picked instead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, like, all 3 of the Casa guys were equal. Like, it's just like you just pick someone.
Right.
And like, I think I would have enjoyed watching Zach meet people, I guess. But then we would have had 2 Zachs still. So
yeah, no, that was the deal.
That's why
Zach K said we can't let him stay.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being Zach K.
Yeah, it's true. My final thought is that I'm sure Nick's gonna tell Sierra. Good God, I hope. But I really can't wait for movie night.
Yeah.
I love movie night.
Yeah.
So good.
I hope they show Nick kissing Olandria in the blindfold challenge.
Oh, I feel like what they're gonna do, I don't know. I can even picture like the title is like Secret Admirer or something, and they're gonna do like a compilation. Like they're gonna do Nick coming for Olandria over and over and over again, and I hope that everyone just thinks that it's cute.
Yeah.
And can be like, okay, they gave it a try, it didn't work, and like move on. I hope that it doesn't start a bunch of shit, but I'm so excited.
Yeah. Have you seen the people making like funeral programs of Nicolandria?
Yes.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, I know you went back and watched last season, so you probably answered some questions for yourself, but any more, like, how does Love Island work questions?
I feel like I did have one, but I can't remember it. So, I don't know.
Cool. Well, that's it.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.